Hello everyone, welcome to the Mecaniquesportive YouTube channel. This is Nicola. Today I'm going to talk to you about the four-wheel drive versions of the Dacia Bigster and the Dacia Duster. Because now there's a big change since the old engines and old transmissions are gone. We're moving on to something new. As you can see behind me, there's a blue Bigster I showed you in the studio. And by the end of the year, or maybe early 2026, we'll be able to try out the new engines. What is it about? So, don't go anywhere. I'm going to hide a little note behind the wheel because there's going to be a big new feature. There will be two hybrid engines depending on the country. And in France, we'll have the option of a liquefied petroleum gas hybrid. And this time, there'll be 150 hybrid 4x4. And in France, we'll call it the G hybrid for liquefied petroleum gas. Now, the Sandero, Stepway, and Jogger come with a large tank. Previously, we only had a 40-liter tank. This time, we'll move to almost a 50-liter liquefied petroleum gas tank, which will give us a combined range for the Bigster and the Duster of about 1,500 kilometers. Well, we'll test that as soon as possible. That will happen soon. In France, only the hybrid and liquefied petroleum gas versions will be available because they were the most economical and interesting. Driving liquefied petroleum gas is popular in France, and many have been sold. For the Duster 4x4, 750,000 units sold make up a quarter. The Bigster 4x4 accounts for 10–20% depending on the country. Here's the information. 300,000 liquefied petroleum gas units in Europe, with 300,000 cars using liquefied petroleum gas tanks. It's still pretty interesting, and above all, it's more economical. I've already made videos about that for you, and it's true that budget-wise, liquefied petroleum gas is still a lot cheaper. We don't have the prices yet, but normally they shouldn't change too much. And the advantage of this is that now we're moving to a 1.2-liter engine. But I'll show you that in a moment. Right here, you can see a Bigster liquefied petroleum gas version. The chassis, the approach angles, and so on don't change much. We keep liquefied petroleum gas, well, not the liquefied petroleum gas, the basic Bigster. I'm getting involved a little bit because we're on a bit of a tight schedule. So we still have some pretty pronounced approach angles. We'll be able to climb more than just a curb because, as you can see right there, it's high. But the most important thing is going to be the Dacia Duster that we'll find on this side. The Dacia Duster, it's a real off-roader. Look, we know the Dacia Duster. It looks much like the Bigster, but the Bigster is longer. This one, though, has a 31-degree front approach angle to climb here. You can see that unlike the standard versions, it doesn't have a square angle here. It's shaped to have 31 degrees. That's pretty cool. We also tested it in fairly off-road conditions. On the side, you can go up to 24 degrees of tilt. So regarding ground clearance, and for ground clearance, we're at 20.8 centimeters. So it goes pretty much everywhere. A curb is about 10 or 12 centimeters. The bigger curbs can go up to 15. But keep in mind that when you go up, you can actually go much higher. I'd actually like to test that one day. What's the biggest curb you can climb with this car? And at the back, that's where we have the biggest departure angle. Here, with a 36-degree incline, you can go down a steep slope. Also, the new chassis features all-season tires on every version, letting you drive in the mountains, winter, mud, and off-road. So that's still pretty important. Of course, you know me. We're going to test it, and we'll go all the way to the limit of the descent up to here. However, if we look underneath, we'll find the new liquefied petroleum gas tank in that spot. Anyway, we lose a little bit of space in the trunk as usual, but it's still really interesting. What I'm going to show you now is more about the engines. Dacia brought us a chassis today, which is great. I have my sheet here. I enjoy reviewing things with the engineers. And on this side, we're going to see what it looks like. And what's really rare is that here we have a four-wheel drive engine chassis. Well, normally, if you know about this, the rear and the front are supposed to be connected. Here, they're not, because at the back, we're going to have a separate electric motor that can be completely disconnected. Since it's electric, we can turn it on or off. That's the first way to use it, but also we'll have a gearbox with a possible decoupling. So either the transmission's completely open, whoa, it's spinning. It actually works too. So either it's completely open or it's on the first gear, which will be a sort of short first gear that goes up to 70 kilometers per hour. Or the second gear, which will allow us to drive up to 140 kilometers per hour, where we disengage. Next, in the center, you can see a small 48-volt battery here, which will be positioned under the passenger seat. So it has 0.8 kilowatt hours, which allows us to have electric phases. So it's not a real, true, full hybrid. It's a kind of enhanced hybrid. It's better than a start and stop system because this battery powers the rear motor, and the rear motor, of course, since it's an electric motor, can recover energy and send it back to this battery as well. So this will allow for a kind of B mode and to regenerate electricity thanks to the rear motor. But at the front, there's also the big new feature. We're moving to this engine, a 1.2-liter engine that we know from the Renault group. But on the other hand, with this whole part here, which is a new gearbox, we're going to have a new 6-speed dual-clutch gearbox that we'll find on the new Sandero, the new Jogger, and the new Sandero Stepway on the liquefied petroleum gas versions, which will be a real difference compared to what we're used to. So the 1.2-liter engine. Here, we have a large starter alternator that will allow us to provide torque to the engine, and it will work thanks to, if we come over to this side, there you go, you'll see. We have a belt that lets us drive the engine and makes all of this turn. And it helps us, thanks to this 48-volt battery, to give the car a bit of a boost. So I don't remember exactly how much power that is. No, I don't have it. But at the back, we have 31 horsepower, which is pretty cool. It will work in nearly any condition and offer multiple modes. Lock mode lets us drive up to 70 kilometers per hour with the rear always engaged in first gear. The auto mode, which will allow us, depending on the conditions or in snow mode, to activate the second gear up to 140 kilometers per hour and make it so we can have a permanent four-wheel drive if we want, or completely disengaged. And that's really interesting. What other information do we have about that? 87 Newton meters for this engine at the rear. Also something new, for that we'll have to go inside. Don't move. Well, actually, let's move. We're going to check out that interior. Let's cross paths like this. I have a top-notch cameraman today. Here we go. So here I am in my new Bigster. And what is going to change in this new Bigster? We have the automatic gearbox. We already knew that when we had the hybrid versions, the new hybrid version 155 that we know with the new 1.8-liter engine. But here, we said we were using the 1.2-liter engine. This time, it's different because we have paddle shifters on the steering wheel. The small plus and minus paddles let us interact with the car differently, as the new dual-clutch gearbox has 6 speeds. It's totally different from both the 1.2-liter E-Tech and the standard 1.2-liter engines. It's a new version, a 1.2-liter liquefied petroleum gas bifuel. But for some people, it will just be a hybrid with the version, well, specifically the dual clutch and this 6-speed gearbox, which is new and different from what we're used to. They didn't use what's in the Renault group. It may come to Renault later, since the 1.8-liter engine first appeared at Dacia on the Bigster before coming to Renault. Yes, it just arrived on the new Clio. Maybe Dacia is currently taking the lead over Renault, and that's pretty interesting. Hold on, my little note. I told you that the old four-wheel drive versions will be gone by the end of 2025 due to regulations, because of the new Euro 6B standard and so on. The engines no longer met standards. So this new liquefied petroleum gas engine offers the latest technologies, lower fuel consumption, and emits just 115 grams of carbon dioxide on the Bigter and 117 grams on the Duster, which is really interesting. The starter. Oh yes, it has 16 horsepower. I was telling you over there that I hadn't found it yet. What else can we know that's interesting about this new engine, this new platform? We'll also be able to tow up to 1,500 kilos. It was 1,000 kilos with the hybrid versions. 1,500 kilos lets you handle a bit more. And that can be interesting for you if you have a four-wheel drive version. We'll have 50 liters of gasoline, 50 liters of liquefied petroleum gas, as I mentioned. We have 10% more torque compared to a version with direct four-wheel drive transmission because we don't have that drive shaft to push and drive, since it's directly an electric motor that's attached. We recover energy. I've explained Mode 1 and 2, as well as the Renault Cardian's gearbox and acceleration, which is sold in Brazil, and also. So here, as you can see, we have this automatic transmission. And on the older 4x4 versions, we had the manual gearbox, and the manual gearbox, as you know. Normally, if you follow the channel closely and you're from the studio, the first one had a short gear ratio. Well now, there's no need for the short gear ratio on the four-wheel drive versions, since the hybrid will help with the engine at the front. The electric motor's extra 87 Newton meters of torque will help at the rear. So with a longer, better-spaced gearbox, we won't need a short one since we can drive at lower RPMs and use the electric torque. That's actually a good thing. Automatic gearbox. Most people like that since most people who buy SUVs, 70% of SUVs sold come with an automatic gearbox, so that's pretty good. They could really enjoy this interior. As you can see here, this large glass roof, the big panoramic roof, and the space of the Bigster, or the Duster, which is always impeccable. And on this side, you'll still find the same dial as before with Eco Mode, Auto Mode, Snow Mode, Sand and Gravel Mode, and the Lock Mode, which will completely lock it. And when you can activate this lock mode, you'll find right here, for example, the 4x4 information with the angle, the car's tilt to the side, plus the front to back angle, which is really interesting. And also on this side, you'll have information about the rear motor, the front electric motor, the battery, and the combustion engine here. When it's running, we'll see how it works. So that's pretty good. And then inside you find everything you used to find back in the day in a Duster or in a Bigster. And what will make the difference compared to the other versions? It'll just be this little thing here, 4x4. And it still has a bit of that scratchy feeling. Well, it's kind of funny. I don't know if there's anything to clean, if it's great or not, but in any case, you find it here on the Duster and on the Bigster. Previously, the price was about 27,000 euros, and keeping the old engines meant a 1,500 euro penalty. And at Dacia, a 1,500 euro penalty is still huge because the advantage and the goal of Dacia is mainly to make sure to have relatively affordable cars. And getting a 1,500 euro penalty really hurts. So they're working on technologies, and the goal is to keep going like that. We still see the Starkle, etc. Anyway, the Bigster or the Duster over there that we see with colleagues, that's what it will look like. Anyway, here we have this event. Look, come on, let's show people what's happening right here because it's also pretty interesting. On this side, we have the new Spring, and I made a short video for you about it. On the other side, there's no one now, but earlier TF1 and others were filming. So here we have the new Dacia models with the brand new Sandero, the brand new Sandero Stepway, and the new Jogger. Well, brand new, they're not really completely new cars. They're facelifted versions. The whole front has changed, the whole rear as well, and a little bit inside with even bigger screens. And by the way, if you want to see the new 1.8-liter engine with the new battery that you'll find in these models, it's right here. Anyway, don't hesitate if you enjoyed this video. Careful, cameraman. The little blue thumbs up like this. Don't hesitate to subscribe and wait. Don't go anywhere. I haven't forgotten anything. I told you. Oh yes, and the 6-speed gearbox has a wet clutch, so you can play a bit more with the slipping. And now, I think I've told you all the information you needed to know about the new 4-wheel drive engines from Dacia. All right, I'm counting on you with the blue thumbs up. If you want, take them to see the cars. Kisses. That's beautiful. He does it well. Maybe I'll hire this cameraman. Oh yeah, it's smooth. It goes through there. Perfect. Bye-bye.